Okay. So here I am, sitting in my house, not knowing what's going to happen today. And I get a special delivery. Horseman. Oh, yes. Now, this is the first Ripperverse book that I've bought that I actually bought some other merch with. I actually got the black and white Horseman t-shirt. I can't wait to rock that one. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I got to have this one." I think I might buy the hat as well. Okay, Chuck Dixon is a professional at storytelling, and it is obvious. And the reason I say this is the way he was able to tell the story and wrap this story up, not leaving you hanging, but leaving you wanting more. He did a good job of that. The Horseman, the character is complicated in ways that I did not foresee. When the book was first introduced, you have your preset position, the way you think things are gonna work, and Chuck Dixon shocked me. This did not go how I thought it was gonna go, and this book was crafted in a way that I did not expect. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. There are things that happen. One specific event that happened pretty early in the story that I did not see coming. And I was like, okay, so how is he gonna get around this one? How does he do this? It kind of grabbed you and pulled you in more because as you're seeing this event happen, you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is either gonna drag out and lead to something else or be wrapped up, but how? And the way things were wrapped up and sewed up, I'm gonna say they Chuck didn't leave any loose ends. He left enough that you wanted to know more, but there wasn't that feeling like, oh, I don't really have enough of that part of the story right there. And I don't know how he did this. I don't know how he like even as big as the book is, I think 80 something pages or just that 90 pages, I believe. Even at that size, to be able to wrap up as much as he did, it's kind of like Alpha Core. If you've read that first Alpha Core book, this is some premium comic book writing, in my opinion. To fit all of that in a story, wrap the story up, but you still want more. I'm excited to see what happens with the next Alpha Core book. Of course, inside the Horseman book, there was a specific cameo. I'm not going to mention what cameo. I'm going to give people the opportunity to read this book. But it fit. The cameo fit, and the way they worked all of this out. It's really done well. It's a few cameos, but it's really done well. And I was thinking to myself as I read this book shocked me in ways that I did not expect the book to shock me. Namely, in the sense that I thought going into this book that I would probably be able to predict how things would flow because it's a vigilante story. But man, I'll be honest with you, the motivations of the horsemen, they're like clear but murky. Like he's a good dude, but you don't get the sense that you really understand fully like the full motivation. You do get some, don't get me wrong, you do get some, but you see certain things and it's like, yo, okay, I wasn't expecting this. It's I don't want to even say what I think he is a mix of, because in some ways that would give away things that I think is best left to surprise. I think you will be surprised at how this book turns out. Chuck Dixon delivers. Joe Bennett is a magnificent artist. There rarely do you find where artists are just extremely capable and competent to handle just about any character. There's certain artists that they can do certain kind of characters and they can do other characters. And then sometimes you're like, all right, Joe Bennett did the Incredible Hulk so good that you would almost think he'd be pigeonholed into doing the Incredible Hulk or characters like the Incredible Hulk. But that's not the case. What I've seen from him thus far in Alpha Core and in the Horseman, I'm like, this dude artistically has a dynamic range and can draw a lot. And him and Chuck Dixon are working very well. They're a really good match. Chuck Dixon's storytelling ability with Joe Bennett's ability to also tell a story in art form is like a match made in comic book heaven, because this book delivers. This is definitely a character that was needed in the Rippaverse. Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett were not lying when they said that. They said it, they developed it, and they delivered. This is a very good read. I think this is one of those characters that, like any character, right? Like I said earlier, Bloodruth, really not my thing. I'm not into horror pretty much at all. I'm not even into horror movies. It's just not my thing. But somebody's going to love it. It's going to be the same thing with the Horseman. There are going to be some people that will read this book and come off thinking, well, maybe not what I was looking for. But me, I love vigilante stories. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you have young children, I will repeat, if you have young children, this book is definitely is a little mature for a younger audience. I would say under 13, I probably would hold off from showing a kid under 13 this book, probably under 14, depending on what you believe and think as a parent. The Horseman, he is bringing the pain. You hear me? This dude ain't playing no games. He is not playing around at all. And as I said earlier, I believe I mentioned it, he's very unpolished, which I kind of like, because there's a specific reason, there's some emotion involved in what he does. And I'm trying to do this without giving any spoilers. And in a lot of ways, that emotion makes him fairly sloppy in the way he carries out what he's doing. But that sloppiness fits the story. It makes it believable. You're watching this story play out as you read, and you're thinking to yourself, man, if I was a vigilante, that's exactly what I would do. If I had that mindset and I wanted to go out and fight crime if I had the similar circumstances to his, this is probably exactly what I would do. It didn't feel unbelievable. Now, of course, it's a comic book, so you see a lot of magnificent and magnifical, if that's even a word, feats of action in these books, obviously. But it was just like he's a relatable character. And look, there's nothing new under the sun. There's always a story that you can compare to another story, like, oh, I saw something similar over here. But this book, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I've seen a vigilante tale in comic books similar to this one. This is different. And what Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett have done and brought to the Rippaverse, yeah, this one right here feels special. Now, I will maintain that thus far, Yaira is my favorite book out of the Rippaverse. The Saska sisters knocked it out of the freaking park. But man, Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett, they're serving up the chef's kiss in the books that they're working on.